All right, Caden, read for us our text this morning.
Every year, his parents went to Jerusalem for the feast of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the feast according to the custom. After the feast was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. They began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. Luke 2:41 through 52.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Yeah. All right, so could you stay up here just a little bit with me? Is that all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you have nothing better to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could be down there listening to me. That's kind of boring. So, right here, you got everybody looking at you. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's every boy's dream, isn't it? Have all eyes on you. Right. All right, so we're talking about Jesus. This is the only reliable account we have of Jesus as a youth. And pretty cool to be about Jesus in the temple and all that. So we're going to get to some questions, and I'm going to have Caden maybe answer some of those or try to answer some of those. None of this was scripted, right? Right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you actually have to talk because that's why you're up here. They want to hear you. They want to hear you more than they want to hear me. Yeah. So this is Jesus at 12. And just out of curiosity, how old are you?
12.
Really? You're 12? Oh, that's so cool. What a coincidence. This is the only opportunity I'll ever have to do this. Isn't that awesome? To have my son up here reading the story of Jesus at 12, when my son's 12, and getting a 12-year-old perspective on the entire event. And so, just before we get to serious questions, let me just ask you this question. And again, this isn't rehearsal. You don't know the answer, but you're smart. So, how many verses do you think I just had you read?
11.
Why 11?
Because it's 41 through 52.
Okay, but 41 through 52. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's let it 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52.
But you started on 40. Oh, it's including 41, so it's 12.
I promise I was not,
Whoops.
My intention was not to embarrass you. But the good news is you probably are going to have a chance to embarrass me before we're done. So That's awesome. All right. Caden is the son of a math teacher, just so you guys know.
Well, it was...
I'm kidding. All right, serious questions now. Serious questions. How do you think it felt to be left behind?
That happened to me once. I was in the church, and...
Wait, let's move on. So,
yeah,
you do remember that,
You guys left me, and the Dickersons had to take me home.
When you say you guys, who specifically left you behind?
You.
Yeah, I did. Ann says, "You got Caden?" "Oh yeah, sure, I got Caden." And then I go about my stuff and then go home. And she says, "Where's Caden?" And we get a phone call from the Hornsbys. Now, you were with the Hornsbys. That was cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would rather be with them anyway than me. This is 3 days, though. I've not left you behind for 3 days, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I'm a good dad, aren't I? You got to use the mic. All right, we'll move on. All right, so every year... Before we get there, what do you think the reason was Jesus got left behind?
he wanted to be with his father in the temple and maybe give the other people understanding, like, for what their questions were, since he knew it, since God was his father.
Wow, that's a good answer. It's a great answer. So you're basically blaming Jesus for being left behind, is that right?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, all right. Well, a lot of people blame the parents. It's always the parents, right? They blame the parents for leaving Jesus behind. We're actually told, right? You just read it. The reason he was left behind could have just been circumstantial, that yes, Jesus wanted to be in the temple.
Yeah.
And yet Jesus wasn't deceptive, right? He's like a truth teller,
Right.
and he's not going to lie to his mom and dad and say, yeah, I'm coming, I'm here, I'm whatever, and then hang out in the temple. So somehow there was some kind of misunderstanding, and we're actually told how it happened. Mom and dad are traveling in this huge caravan with other families, probably from Nazareth, and neighbors and family members and people that they know. They're traveling in a big group. It's a day's journey to go all the way down there. It's a day's journey to travel all the way back. They're traveling together for safety. And I would imagine that it's probably the parents are all up front. Maybe they're riding in carts, maybe donkeys. I don't know if they had camels, but they got a caravan going.
Yeah.
And the kids are probably in the back playing whatever Jewish boys play, stickball. I don't know what they play. If you had a choice, would you ride up front with mom and dad and the adult conversations, or would you be back there playing?
Back there playing.
Yeah, I thought so. And what if there was a cute Jewish girl back there? A Jewish girl's name Esther. That's a good little Esther. Oh, she's a cutie. And you just, your heart. You do like girls, right?
No.
Not yet. You will tell me when that time comes.
Yeah.
This is probably not the time or place to get into that, is it?
Right.
Okay. We'll just move on. We'll move on. So he's back probably, they're thinking, playing. And when he's back there playing, they think, they're probably not even worried about him getting food, because he's going to come up when he's hungry.
Right.
Because you would do that. You'd come up if you were hungry. And so
Yeah.
he probably is, he's back there, he's playing with the other boys. And it's not till they get to a place, maybe they pulled off and got some Wendy's at one point, you think?
Definitely.
And they realize, hey, where is Jesus at? He's not with us. And we're told that this is a day's journey, so it probably is like the end of the day before they realize it. Yeah. So that's probably what happened. Now, Jesus, on the other hand, like you said, he's probably all caught up in the temple stuff. You ever get all caught up in, what do you like to play with?
Legos.
Yeah, lots and lots of Legos. This whole room is Legos. You ever miss a meal when you play Legos?
Probably.
I know you do. You miss a meal playing computer games too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when you're into something, I was just like you at your age, so I get it. So you are just totally absorbed. Jesus was probably totally absorbed, right? Now, here's what I find interesting when I read the passage. It says in verse 41, every year his parents went to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. Luke is setting up the background before he tells us that Jesus stays behind. He's letting us know that Jesus' parents are devout. Because not all Jewish people, even though they were required to go to Jerusalem, even though they were supposed to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year for different feasts, this being one of the high feast days, not all of them did it. Jesus' parents, though, do, and that's what's important to Luke, and so he notes that. They went every single year. They did not miss a year, and so this is another trip to Jerusalem. They're devout. They love God. They do it out of love for Him. They do it out of duty for Him. They are faithful. After the feast was over, though, verse 43, after the feast was over, it's done. It starts at sunset and goes to the following sunset, so it really is a 2-day event, but there are other activities that happen before the feast even begins, so it actually is more like a week conference, worship experience, like going to one of those places where there's the Passion Conference, or there's a worship conference, or there's a mission conference. It's like that kind of environment, and they love it, and it's good, but it says after it was over, while his parents were returning home, because they had finished what they were supposed to do, They had finished their duty. They were done. That was great. Let's go home. Let's go home and wait till next year when it's Passover again. It says the boy Jesus stayed in Jerusalem. The boy Jesus stayed, which the King James has translated tarried. He got so caught up, it was like playing Legos to him. He couldn't leave. He just wanted to be there all the time. And that's pretty cool. But the contrast is mom and dad are devout. They are faithful. They love God. They do their duty. But they're done. Jesus can't be done. He can't stop. He needs more. He wants more. He wants to go back, and he wants to go back. He knows this is where he belongs. This is where his ministry is. This is where his mission is. This is what his life purpose is all about. This year, as a church, we've already begun, and we've got banners now up on the wall, and it's all about generosity. Not generosity in the sense of, I got to give more. Generosity in the sense of, I get to give more. I get to serve more. I get to love more because of what's been done for me. See, we live in grace, and grace says you've been forgiven. You owe nothing. And out of that appreciation for this new position we have in Christ, we are different than the world. The world starts looking at us and scratches their head and says, what? Are you kidding me? You took that person in to help them? Are you kidding me? You've given that to make sure that they have a place to stay? Are you sure that's right? You've stopped and changed their tire and helped them out? That's the kind of people that we're becoming because we live in the atmosphere that Jesus himself has created with his own life of generosity. Our definition, our working definition is to give more and to love more and to serve more than expected. And Jesus right here is showing us that he is going beyond anybody's expectations as far as what a relationship with God looks like. He wants to do more. We do this. We put in one hand all our responsibilities in life, and in the other hand, the tension between the two is all of our responsibilities, all of our busyness, the things that we feel that we have to do, and giving God enough time. And the problem is it's really not balanced, is it? This is like huge. We almost need two hands to hold it because there's so many responsibilities. This, not so much. It's like Sunday morning and a little bit of prayer, maybe, and a little bit of Bible reading, maybe. But we feel like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough for God? Is it balanced enough? And Jesus says, forget the balance. I'm living out of this hand only. It's all about Jesus. Everything that I do, it's not about busyness, it's about Jesus. When I say this hand, I mean this hand, right? I just switched hands. It's all about everything that Jesus is, or everything that God is, that's where he wants to live, that's where he wants to focus, and so that's really cool. You're probably wondering when I'm going to get back to you. How about now?
Okay.
All right. So, let me ask you this question. They took this trip. It was a day's journey. They realized Jesus is gone. It's a day's journey back. But we're told in the text, after 3 days they found him. What in the world did they do that third day? Where do you think they were looking for Jesus at? Why didn't they go to the temple?
Maybe because they were thinking that he wouldn't be at the temple.
Right.
That's the last place they would have checked.
Yeah, that's exactly what, it's like the very last place, I bet you. I bet you they even went to the post office and posted a picture of him on the wall. Missing! Do you think so?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I bet they probably checked the Lego store, the ice cream parlor, the arcade, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, because that's where you and I would be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, but not where Jesus was. It just blew them away. They're devout, right? We did our duty, though. It's done. The conference is over. Why would he be in the temple? Right? I think that's kind of the feeling. After 3 days, they found him in the temple court, sitting among the teachers. This is verse 46. Sitting among the teachers. That's really cool. He's 12 years old, and he's sitting with the teachers of the law, the highly revered, respected, learned men who have all the answers. Jesus is sitting there, and they're having a conversation. He's listening to them. He's asking them questions, and obviously he's giving them answers too. So it's a conversation that they're having. He's gathering information. We know he's growing because at the very end you read, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature. Jesus is experiencing humanity just like us. So he's a boy just like you. But he's learning and growing and has wisdom of his own to share, and they are amazed. Verse 47, everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. I imagine that Jesus was probably just as handsome and cute as you are. I would just imagine that, and I would imagine that most people here, as they hear you, are thinking, wow, Caden's doing an awesome job up there. And they are interested, more interested in you than me, and they'd wish I'd shut up. I get that. But I think that everybody who was listening to Jesus was like leaning in more and paying even more attention because of all this wisdom that even Jesus at 12, I mean, he's experiencing humanity just like we do, so it's not like he's been given special, that's what we think, right? He has all knowledge. It says he's asking questions. He's learning. He's growing. He's just like you. But he is so wise. Now, where do you think he got that wisdom? How do you think he got that wisdom?
Prayer and through God.
Prayer and through God? Yeah, that's a good answer. Any others? Anybody else in his life that maybe somebody, real close to him?
Parents.
That have, parents. Yeah, good. Parents. So I believe that he listened to his teachers. I believe he listened to his parents. I believe he listened to his rabbi. I believe that he just like in this moment, he's asking questions and he's listening. He's going beyond what anyone would expect him to be, just wanting, hungry, thirsty, wanting to grow. Let's just go back to that one statement again, though. I want to make sure we got this because I think this is good. What you said, he listens to his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could we just camp there for a minute? Over lunch today, maybe we can talk about this point, listening to. You think he listened to Joseph, his dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to Dad. That's good stuff. Man, we could be done right there. All right, so Here's something else. So Jesus goes beyond expectations, wanting to be in the temple, wanting to worship, wanting to be in church. He goes beyond expectations, leaning in, listening, trying to understand, grow, and become what God has created him to become. So Mary and Joseph, then, the next thing we read, are just astonished when they found him. They're just like, they're blown away. It says, when the parents saw him, they were astonished. That's a pretty big kind of moment. They're just astonished. What do you think they're astonished at? What do they see? What gets them?
That he's in the temple and not somewhere like over at like a friend's house or something.
Yeah, they're probably like, why weren't you in the store? Why weren't you in the mall? Why weren't you at a friend's house? Why weren't you somewhere else? Yeah, they're amazed he's sitting there. I think they're amazed he's sitting there, and the teachers in that Jewish culture that didn't pay any attention to children are actually listening to him. He's just crazy, right? But his mom says right after that, so they're astonished, and that's a positive thing, right? They're like,
Yeah.
It's like when we see you score a goal when you're playing soccer, and you just went through 5 defenders, which happens all the time, right? I mean, just weave right through there. Yeah, this is your moment to shine. And we're just astonished, like, that's just great, that is awesome. They're just astonished. And then listen to this. His mother said to him, son, why have you treated us like this? Does that sound like a tone change to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that ever happened with mom and dad?
Probably.
More mom than dad?
Yeah.
Here's this is true, right? We do this. We pray to God, please, please, please let my child be safe. If you've lost a child, you know what this is like. And we could tell you stories. I mean, it's not like we habitually leave our children behind. Yeah, children's services is being called right now by somebody. When you, though, have lost them, even for the briefest moment, you say a prayer and you're praying to God, please, please, please keep him safe. Please keep him safe. Please let no harm come to him. And then when you find them, there's this huge relief that comes over you, and then anger comes, right? Immediately, doesn't it? And that anger just kind of wells up inside you because you want to protect the child and make sure it never happens again. The child, you prayed, oh, please, please, please keep him safe. You turn to the child and you say, if you ever do that again to me, son, I'll kill you. Don't we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. And it's because we love you. Yeah. We do because we want to protect them. Don't ever, ever do that again. And I think that's what she's feeling here, all this frustration. How could you do that? And I think that's important to see the familiar or family love that they have, that sometimes we miss because we're thinking, well, Jesus is special and different, and he doesn't have that kind of connection, but he does. He has mom and a dad that are earthly. I know he's got a father in heaven, but he's got a mom and a dad, and they love each other, and mom is really concerned, and dad is really concerned, and they say, we've been anxiously searching for you, and Jesus' reply, sometimes I think we misunderstand, and we say, don't you know that I'd be in my Father's house? It almost sounds like demeaning, but I don't think it is. We read that and he says, don't you know? Don't you? It's almost like, you guys are so dumb. How could you not know? I'd be right here. And you know, look, I can take care of myself. Remember the kid from Home Alone? He was what, 8 years old? He took care of himself. I can take care of myself. I think Jesus really was getting at, why'd you search every other place but here? And that's why the next words he says are, didn't you know? Didn't you know that I would be in my Father's house? You didn't have to spend the entire day looking. Didn't you know? This is where I want to be. This is where I know this is my mission, and this is my calling. This is what I've been raised to be. This is why I'm here. I'm discovering who I am. I'm growing in wisdom and knowledge. This is it. This is my life work. This is my life mission. Didn't you know? Why would you search anywhere else other than right here? This is where I want to be. What I think is astonishing, to use that word, astonishing, is not that Jesus is in the temple, but the very next words that is said in verse 51, then he, Jesus, went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. He's God. He's in charge. He's in control. He's on the throne. He steps off the throne and comes down to us and to walk among us, to live among us, to experience humanity with us. And he's in the temple, the heart of the Jewish community where God meets man. He's there. And mom says, please don't do this to us again. And he says, I won't. I'm coming home with you. He goes beyond expectations in every single way. It's hard to obey mom and dad sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's hard because sometimes we can be unreasonable, it seems, right?
Yeah.
More mom than dad. I know how she can be. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not getting lunch today, I'm sure of it. It's hard to be obedient because we don't understand. It's hard to agree with a perspective we don't see. And Jesus' perspective is right. I can imagine there were times when Joseph, dad, says to Jesus something about the way things are and how things work, and Jesus would have said, that's not really true. Actually, I was there, remember? When the world was created, I was there, I know. He just was obedient. He said, yes, Mom, yes, Dad. He went beyond expectations in every area of his life. And it says he grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men. This year as a church, we're going to go through 5 different challenges. They're located on the back of the message notes. And those challenges are truly challenges. The only way that you could do these challenges is not with a mentality of, oh, I'm going to do this so I can please God and be right with God. You can't. Not one of these will make you right with God. The only thing that will make you right with God is what Jesus did on the cross, dying for your sins. What this is living out of the grace of God. Living generously as an outflow of the love you've given, sharing that with others. Living with forgiveness for others because you've been forgiven. Living with giving and offering to others because you have been blessed by God. Because you know the knowledge and the truth of God, giving that to others. That's what it means to live generously. So we're going to actually begin these challenges next Sunday with one. We're not going to do all of them at the same time. It is not one of those things that if you don't do this, then we're going to have to give you a demerit. We live in grace. What this is we want so badly for you to see that if you live out of generosity, you will find that kind of hope and that kind of love and that kind of peace that you were designed for, living out of the abundance and overflow of God in you. That's our hope. That's our desire. And so next week we're going to challenge you with the first challenge. The very first challenge. But today I just want us to see that Jesus himself lived generously. Jesus lived beyond expectations in every area, even as a 12-year-old. And so the challenge isn't for Caden only. The challenge isn't for Jeff only. The challenge is for all of us to somehow understand what it means to live out of the overflow of blessing, to live generously. All right, I'd like you to thank Caden for being up here. He did a great job. Thank you, buddy. You can go back. Somebody said to me, are you a little nervous, Jeff? You know, you don't know what he's going to say. And I think Caden should have been more nervous because he didn't know what I was going to say. This episode, this event in the temple is actually pretty cool when you think about what Luke is trying to say. Now, he's not only giving us an account in Jesus' life, an insight into how generous Jesus lives, but he's really, really trying to emphasize the fact that they're back at the temple. Last week we talked about Jesus in the temple, but he was as a baby. He was a little baby, and he was being offered to God in the ceremony that all firstborn males had to go through.